check this out. Now, I love YouTube, but I use it for two reasons, guys. I use it for entertainment purposes, and then I also use it to fade most of what these guys are doing. Now, the one up in the top left, I admire him. That's Ken Fisher, Fisher Investments. He does his homework. He knows what happens in the month of May. But for most of these guys, you go back and forth and you look and see what they say. Sell it all. Could stock sink? Sell in May and go away! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. And then sell in May and go away, Bitcoin to slowly decline. Well, we know what happened, to hopefully the people that follow this group, especially some of these guys. I mean, that sell in May and go away! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. I don't know. I mean, and the thing is that it's even one thing to know that, most of these videos have the question marks after it and folks, most of these guys go in and they say, it could go up, but it could go down. It could do this, but it could do that. So they do a lot of questioning, but you know what? You know what I don't like? I don't like their thumbnails because their thumbnails say something like sell it all. Okay. Most people that are subscribers. So if you take a look, I'm going to teach you guys a little something here. You might know this, but you might not. See this right here? Here's my arrow is. Look at this subscriber. 15,000 views, but he has almost 30,000 subscribers. The other 15,000 subscribers probably looked at that thumbnail and they said, no, I'm going to sell in May. This guy says sell it all. I'm going to sell it all. Okay. But that's that. And so you've got the group that tells you, very few that are telling you what they're doing. And then you got most of these guys out here that are just, I call them Zoomers. You know what a Zoomer is? That is a Gen Z that has become a market expert in all their glorious years. They got all that experience and they're going to give it up to anybody who will listen. And then you got the few people out there that are really showing you rules-based, that are coming to you with data and a lot of it. And so I put that out there as a PSA. All right, there's my public service announcement. What did we do in May? We said buy in May and make money today, and we talked about this. And if you look at what happened in May, we're talking about a market that was near 500 at the beginning of the month and ran all the way up above 530 before pulling back a bit and getting into 525. All right, so let's still up 5%. If you look at that range during the month of May, anyone that sold in May and went away has got to be thinking to himself, wow, who was I listening to? There are probably some unsubscribes coming out of that. But this is a 40-day chart of the S&P. And yes, it had a nice move up. It has had a pullback here during the last week of May that pulled us back down. But then we're starting to pop again. And I'm looking at that 530, 531 number that you see there, 531.36. And that is the number that we're going to be gunning for. And I believe that number is going to get taken out very, very soon. And we'll discuss that here in a moment. But that's the number. I think that number is going to be taken out very, very soon. All right. TLT, here we go. 40-day chart of the bond market. iShares Barclays 20-year Treasury ETF. And usually, as you can see, and I've been talking about this for the last month or two, that the bond market is stuck in this Goldilocks range. And lo and behold, if you look at the last 40 days, you can see the range right there. So we're talking about high 80s to low 90s, and we're just sitting in that range right now, really going much of about nowhere. And believe it or not, folks, this is good for the stock market, because the quieter the bond market is, then to me, the more good news that's going to be for stocks. All right. Take a look at oil. Now, I'm going to tell you, I'm shocked by this. I'm actually shocked by the oil markets. I expected, based on the data that I look at, for oil to continue to run higher. So the question that I'm asking myself and that you should be asking yourself is that yes, it's been going up since mid-February, and we're still above the mid-February prices for oil. But since the beginning of March, when we were at 73, we've gone up to 83. We're back down to 73 and change right now. And the question I'm asking myself is this a buying opportunity as we head into summer? Because again, the seasonality, the bullish seasonality, typically runs from mid-February to mid-July. So there's about 6 weeks between now and mid-July. Does this make for an opportunity? I think it might. It just might. But I want to see something more than a pullback. I need to see this moving in the right direction. And for me, a close above 76.81. That's this number right here. Okay. And so, yeah. So, and by the way, I snapped this earlier today. So a close above 76.81. That's a move in the right direction. Would immediately spark me to start thinking about going long or adding to a long position in oil or even in oil stocks. All right, gold. So GLD, again, it has had quite the spring as we've gone from, and what I did was I pulled the numbers from 400 or from 200, excuse me. I'm pulling numbers right around 200. In fact, that low was 199.74. Close enough. So from 200 to around 224, we hit it once. We pulled back to the 212, that 50% retracement area. We hit it again and pulled back. And we're sitting right in that area, that 215, that 38% retracement area. And so if you are of the belief that the bond market is going to stay in that Goldilocks range, then this is good for gold, and that gold should bounce and make new highs. All right, but if you believe that rates are going to stay where they are, or we might even get another rate hike, there's a few folks on the sidelines that are predicting that. Then you got to look at gold again. You got to say, all right, we could double bounce down at 212. We could come down to the 209 level as well. Those are some other areas for that support level. All right. A couple more charts I want to show you. Bitcoin. Okay. Bitcoin's having another good day today. We were back above 70K earlier this morning. And so, you take a look at the longer term chart and you can see both the 250-day moving averages are moving in the right direction. Bitcoin's back above that 50-day. It's well above the 200-day. We had a long-term bounce off of 56,320. That was right here at about a month ago. We're at that level. So taking a look at the shorter term chart, you can see there's that level. And then more importantly, we've come up, we've pulled back, and we've been sitting in this short-term bounce around 66,000. There's that move that's been happening today. 71,430 is the first number we got to get above before we go after the 73,000 and change number, which is the all-time high. All right. If we can get above and close above 71,430, I think that's great for Bitcoin. And while we're talking about Bitcoin, let's finish off our overall market outlook by looking at Ether or Ethereum. So ETH, this is the longer term chart of ETH, takes us all the way back to the beginning of the year. And you can see here that kind of double bottom that happened right around 2,200. 2,217 is the low that I have. That's all the way back at around the end of January. And then between the end of January and the beginning of March, we ran up and we didn't double in value, but we got pretty close. We moved from the low twos to over 4,000. Since then, that 4065 number has eluded us. We've pulled back to that 62% retracement level and hung out there in April and in May. But since then, Ethereum's caught fire because, again, that big move up, you all remember that a couple weeks ago. That was when all of a sudden the probabilities of an Ethereum spot ETF just went up. And we've been sitting in that area right now. In fact, Ethereum's up today really based on what Bitcoin's doing. But we get above and close above what's happened here in the last week. And I think we can make another run at 4065. So there you go. That is our stocks, our bonds, our commodities, all right, and cryptocurrencies for the month of June. Why do I believe these are going higher? We're moving into seasonal months. Number one, we're moving into bullish seasonal months. And number two, we also have a lack of news. And what I mean by that is when we come into summer, what happens in June? Well, we've gotten rid of most of the earnings reports. Most earnings reports are behind us. There's not going to be a whole lot of news coming out of the private sector. And in this business, no news is good news.